You just spent 20 minutes mopping your kitchen floor. You wrung out that mop, you pushed it back and forth across every single inch of that tile, and you stood back and thought, finally, clean floor, done. And then you walked across it in your socks, and it grabbed at you. That awful, subtle pull with every step. That sticky, tacky feeling that makes you think your floor is somehow dirtier than before you mopped it. If that has happened to you, and I mean even once, you are not alone. This is one of the most common and most frustrating cleaning problems in America, and it happens in millions of kitchens every single week. Good, hardworking people who are doing everything right, or at least everything they were told was right, and still ending up with a floor that feels like the inside of a movie theater. Here's what makes it worse. Most people's first instinct is to mop again, so they fill that bucket back up, they go over the floor a second time and sometimes even a third time, and the floor still feels sticky. Or it feels okay for a day and then the stickiness comes right back, almost like it never left. So what is going on? Why does mopping sometimes make your floor stickier? And more importantly, what actually fixes it? I'm going to walk you through the whole thing today, not just the quick answer, but the real explanation behind why this happens. Because once you understand why, the solution becomes completely obvious, and you will never have this problem again. We're going to cover the cause, the fix, and I'm going to give you a simple step-by-step method using things you almost certainly already have in your home. Nothing expensive, nothing complicated, just real, honest cleaning that works. Stay with me, because the part most people never figure out is coming up in just a minute, and it changes everything. Problem explanation. Let's start at the beginning, because the answer might surprise you. The sticky feeling on your floor after mopping is almost never caused by dirt. It's caused by soap. More specifically, it's caused by soap that didn't get fully rinsed away. Here's what happens. You put a cleaning solution into your mop bucket, maybe a squirt of dish soap, maybe a capful of a popular floor cleaner, maybe one of those little pods or tablets that dissolve in water. You mop the floor, the soap loosens the grease and grime, and that part works just fine. But then you mop away that dirty water with the same mop. And here's the problem. The soap itself stays behind on the floor in a thin, invisible film. That film dries, and when it dries, it becomes tacky. It becomes slightly sticky. And every time you walk on it, it picks up a fresh layer of dust and fine particles from the air and from your shoes. Within a day or two, that sticky film has turned into a dull, grimy coating that makes your floor look and feel worse than it did before you cleaned it. And what do most people do? They mop again, with more soap, which leaves more film, which gets stickier. It's a cycle, and it just keeps going. Now, here's the part that really catches people off guard. This problem is actually worse when you use too much cleaning product. There's a very common belief that more soap equals more clean. It feels logical. It feels like you're being thorough. But with floor cleaning, the opposite is true. The more product you use, the more residue gets left behind, and the stickier your floor becomes over time. The same thing can happen with certain popular store-bought floor cleaners. Some of them contain ingredients, wax agents, fragrance binders, shine enhancers that are specifically designed to leave a coating on your floor. That coating can look nice at first. It might even give your floor a little bit of shine, but over time, those coatings build up, layer on layer, and eventually they create that sticky, grimy buildup that no amount of regular mopping seems to fix. There's also a third cause, and this one is particularly common in kitchens: cooking grease. Every time you cook, especially if you're frying anything or even just sautéing vegetables in a pan, tiny particles of grease go up into the air. They float around, and eventually they settle on your counters, on your appliances, and yes, on your floor. That grease is invisible when it first lands, but over weeks and months, it builds up into a light coating that ordinary mopping can't break down, especially if your mop water isn't hot enough or your cleaning solution isn't the right kind. So when your floor feels sticky, you're almost certainly dealing with one of these three things: soap residue, product buildup, or grease accumulation. And very often, it's a combination of all three. The good news, All three of these problems have the same solution, and it's simpler than you'd ever expect. What you need. Before we get into the steps, let me tell you what you'll need. I promised you simple and affordable, and I meant it. The first thing you need is white distilled vinegar. Plain white vinegar, the kind you can find at any grocery store for about $2 or $3 a bottle. This is the workhorse of this whole method. Vinegar is a mild acid, and that acidity is what makes it so effective against both soap residue and grease. It cuts right through that sticky film and dissolves it without leaving anything behind. Because vinegar evaporates cleanly, it doesn't leave a residue of its own. The second thing you need is dish soap, but just a very small amount. And I mean very small, as in a few drops. We're talking about using dish soap almost as an afterthought, not as a primary cleaner. The reason we're including it at all is that dish soap is a degreaser, and for a kitchen floor with grease buildup, a few drops can help lift the heavier grease before the vinegar comes in to do the finishing work. Third, you need hot water, as hot as your tap will run. Heat helps loosen grease and old buildup, and it helps the vinegar work faster and more effectively. If your tap doesn't run very hot, you can heat water in a kettle or pot and add it to your bucket. Just be careful when handling it. Fourth, you need a clean mop. And when I say clean, I mean actually clean. If your mop head has weeks of old grime in it, you're just spreading that grime right back on the floor. If you have a mop head that can be washed in the laundry, run it through a hot wash cycle before you start. If it's too old and worn to be cleaned properly, this is a good time to replace it. A new mop head costs just a few dollars, and it makes an enormous difference. Finally, you'll need 2 buckets if you have them, or the ability to change your mop water at least once during the process. You'll understand why in a moment. That's it. White vinegar, a tiny bit of dish soap, hot water, a clean mop, and 2 buckets. Everything else is just technique, and that's what I'm going to walk you through right now. Step-by-step process. Step 1. Dry sweep first. Before any water touches your floor, you need to dry sweep it. Use a broom or a dry dust mop and go over every part of the floor carefully. Get into the corners, along the baseboards, and under the edges of appliances if you can reach them. This step matters more than most people realize. If you skip it and go straight to mopping, you're pushing loose dust and crumbs around in your mop water, turning them into a muddy paste that gets pressed right into the grout lines and surface of your floor. A good dry sweep before you mop means your mop water stays cleaner longer and actually does the job it's supposed to do. Take your time with this step. A thorough sweep makes everything that follows much easier. Step 2. Mix your first bucket, the degreasing wash. Now fill your first bucket with hot water, as hot as your tap will comfortably give you. Into that hot water, add just 2 or 3 drops of plain dish soap, not a squeeze, not a glug, 2 or 3 drops, and stir it gently. This is your degreasing wash. The purpose of this bucket is to lift and loosen any grease or heavy soil that's been building up on your floor. The dish soap at this concentration is just enough to help with that without leaving a significant residue of its own. Dip your mop, wring it out thoroughly, and this is important. The mop should be damp, not soaking wet, and mop the floor in sections. Start at the far end of the kitchen and work your way toward the door, so you're not stepping on the clean areas you've already done. Wring your mop frequently. Every few passes, wring it out, and if the water in your bucket is getting visibly dirty, change it. Dirty mop water is one of the main reasons floors still look grimy after mopping. You are essentially painting the floor with diluted grime if you keep going with water that's already brown and murky. Once you've gone over the entire floor with this degreasing solution, let it sit for just 2 or 3 minutes. You don't need to let it dry, just let it rest long enough for the warm, soapy water to really loosen anything that's been clinging to the surface. Step 3. Mix your second bucket, the vinegar rinse. This is the step that most people skip, and this is the step that makes all the difference. Fill your second bucket with hot water. Into that water, add half a cup of plain white distilled vinegar. Stir it gently. That's your entire second solution. No soap, no additional products. This vinegar rinse is what removes the soap residue, both the soap you just used in step 2 and all the old soap residue that has been building up on your floor for weeks or months.
The mild acid in the vinegar neutralizes and dissolves that residue completely, and when it dries, the vinegar evaporates and leaves nothing behind. No film, no coating, just clean floor. A lot of people worry about the smell of vinegar. That's understandable. It does have a noticeable smell when wet. But here's the thing. Once it dries, the smell disappears completely. Your kitchen will not smell like a salad dressing. The odor is entirely temporary. Now take your clean mop or rinse your mop head thoroughly under hot running water before using it again, dip it in the vinegar water, wring it out well, and mop the entire floor a second time. Same method as before. Start at the far end, work toward the door, wring frequently, and change the water if it gets murky. This second pass is essentially a full rinse of your floor, using a solution that is actively working to break down and remove the sticky residue. You will sometimes see a very faint cloudy film come off the floor onto your mop pad during this step. That's the old product buildup. That's exactly what you want. Step 4. Dry the floor. Once you've finished the vinegar rinse, let the floor air dry. Do not walk on it while it's wet if you can help it. Open a window if the weather is nice, or just give it 15 to 20 minutes in a warm kitchen. As it dries, keep an eye on it. In most cases, you will notice something almost immediately. The floor looks different as it dries, lighter, cleaner, less dull. And here's the real test. Once it's fully dry, walk across it in your socks. No sticking, no pulling, just clean, dry, smooth floor. If there are 1 or 2 spots that still feel slightly tacky, that just means there was a heavier buildup of residue in those areas. You can spot treat them by dampening a clean cloth with straight undiluted vinegar, pressing it onto the sticky spot for about 30 seconds, and then wiping it clean. That will take care of it.
Final results. Let's talk about what you're going to notice once this is done. The most obvious change is the one under your feet. That sticky, grabbing feeling when you walk across the floor in socks? Gone. The floor will feel smooth and clean in a way that it probably hasn't felt in a long time, maybe a very long time. You're also going to notice a visual difference. Floors that have a buildup of old product residue tend to look dull and hazy, even right after mopping. They just never seem to come clean. After this process, your floor will likely look noticeably brighter. The color of the tile will be truer. If you have grout lines, they'll look cleaner. The overall appearance of the floor will just be better. And here's something that will become clear over the following days. The floor will stay cleaner, because without that sticky residue coating the surface, there's nothing for dust and dirt to cling to. Your floor will resist getting grimy as quickly as it used to, which means you'll need to do a full mop less often than before. This is the result of cleaning your floor properly, rather than just moving a layer of residue around. It feels different because it is different. Maintenance tips. Now that your floor is actually clean, let's talk about how to keep it that way without falling back into the sticky floor trap. The single most important maintenance habit is this: use less product. From now on, when you mop your kitchen floor, use a solution of 1 gallon of hot water and half a cup of white vinegar with no soap at all. For regular weekly maintenance, that is genuinely all you need. It will clean your floor, kill common bacteria, and leave no residue whatsoever. If you feel like the floor needs a little extra help, maybe after a cooking spill or a particularly messy week, you can add just 1 or 2 drops of dish soap to that vinegar solution, but make that the exception, not the rule. Change your mop water when it gets dirty. This sounds obvious, but it's one of the most skipped steps in floor cleaning. Murky water cannot clean. If your water's brown, dump it. Rinse the bucket and start fresh. Your floor will thank you. Also, consider washing your mop head regularly. A mop head that gets used week after week without being washed becomes a bacteria farm. Once a month, throw the mop head in the washing machine on a hot cycle, or soak it in a bucket of hot water and a cup of white vinegar for an hour. This keeps it hygienic and effective. Finally, dry sweep more frequently between mops. A quick sweep every 2 or 3 days keeps the loose grit and debris from accumulating, which means your mopping sessions stay shorter and more effective. It takes 2 minutes, and it makes a real difference in how your floor looks and feels day to day. So there it is, the real reason your kitchen floor was feeling sticky after mopping, and the simple, straightforward fix that actually works.
It wasn't a mystery, it wasn't a bad floor, it was soap residue, product buildup, and kitchen grease, all combining to create that frustrating tacky film. And the solution was hot water, a couple of drops of dish soap for the first pass, and a vinegar rinse to finish. Nothing expensive, nothing complicated, and nothing that requires a trip to the store if you have vinegar in your pantry right now. I want to be honest with you. This method works because it's rooted in simple chemistry, not marketing. It doesn't have a brand name, it doesn't come in a fancy bottle, but it does what it promises, and your floor will prove that to you the first time you try it. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you been dealing with a sticky kitchen floor for a while? Or maybe you've tried something similar and found your own version of this fix. Leave a comment below and tell me your experience. Your tip might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up. It takes 1 second, and it helps this information reach more people who are dealing with the same frustrating problem. And if you want to see more honest, simple cleaning solutions that actually work, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I put out videos regularly, and every single one is aimed at giving you practical methods you can use right away. Coming up next, I'm going to tackle another question that comes up constantly. Why does your bathroom smell bad even right after you clean it? The answer is not what most people expect, and the fix is just as simple as what we did today. You won't want to miss that one. Until then, go try that vinegar rinse. Your kitchen floor is about to feel completely different, and you deserve to walk across your own kitchen without your socks sticking to the floor.